Hey, Willie Mix today to demo you the StonEQ by Sonimus. So it's an EQ inspired by the 4000 console, the E model and the Brown EQ if I'm not mistaken. There is one interesting feature on this one is a drive setting here, so you can go a bit more colorful or a bit more precise and surgical. So let's dive into it directly. So first I've got this bad recording of voice that sounds really bad.
Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français.
Okay, so it's not really exciting and it has some problem frequency speaking. So first I use a bit of boost. I try to make it sound a bit more broadcast. So I use a bit of boost here on the high end. Also cut it a bit the nasally frequency, cutting a bit the mud and the resonance of the room and boosting the low end quite a lot at 80. And it sounds quite great on this EQ too. I also push the drive to give a bit more harmonics and a bit more saturation and compensate for the volume and a high pass filter, so let's listen to it.
Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français.
Okay, so that's better. That's a good starting point, but now I will use another StonEQ, but on a precise mode. So I will let drive to 0% to make it sound really precise and surgical, and in order to correct a bit the EQ before too. So I use mainly an EQ here to correct a bit some nasty frequencies that I don't like, boosting the intelligibility of the voice, very important from broadcast. Also cutting the low mids because there's some boominess in the voice, and that's basically it. So let's listen to it to see.
Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français. Je parle avec un accent français.
So that's tighter. Probably I will use a high pass filter just to see what it does.
Je parle avec un accent français. 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 Je parle avec un accent français.
Okay, so that's better. So let's compare before and after. I will just use this free dynamic EQ from TDR Nova just to get a bit the P and the S's because there were no pop filter used here. So let's listen to it.
Je parle avec un accent français. 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 Je parle avec un accent français.
Okay, so basically it sounds more broadcast and it sounds better in the end. So now let's listen to a basic overhead microphone. So let's listen to it straight now. Okay, so basic rhythm, basic microphone. Not wonderful, but it will do the job. So let's use an EQ to spice it up a bit, boosting the high end just for a bit of air, a bit of excitement, then boosting frequencies that I like, border range for the snare mainly, and then cutting some bad frequencies, some trashy frequencies that I don't like, and boosting a lot the lows and sub lows with the bell curve to be a bit more precise with the high pass filter to clean it up a bit. Let's listen to it. Okay, so mainly I correct a bit the nasty frequency on the snare that make it sound a bit like a trash bin to me, and notice that I level match as much as I can to not fool you with volume boost. Then I use, just for the fun of it, the tube compressor from Sonimus to give a bit more excitement. Get a bit of focus in parallel just for the fun, but notice how it kind of kills a bit the air on the snare. Let's listen to the snare mainly. So it tends to compress a bit too much the snare to me, and it's okay because I boosted into the compressor, so it will obviously do something like this and react like this. So I use another EQ in the surgical mode here to compensate for that, cutting a bit the hi-hat, that's a bit nasty, bringing back the air on the snare, and mainly that's it, just to see how it sounds. That's a little bit better. Let's listen before and after. Okay, so it's a lot more intense sounding. It's probably a bit better depending on the track, of course, but just to showing you basically what the EQ does. Then I use on the basic guitar, just to show you the basic guitar tone. Okay, so it's mainly something that you probably hear everywhere now. And I use an EQ just to push the high end on the guitar. It's not something that I used to do a lot because it sounds a bit harsh and buzzing to me, but I will show you why I do that, because I use also the low pass filter to compensate for this boost in the high end here. So it mainly softens a bit the buzziness but still gives some air to the guitar. Then boosting a bit here, cutting a bit the mud and boosting the low mid just to make it a bit fatter, and high pass filter to control, and some drive. Let's listen to it. Okay, so it sounded a little more focused, a little more modern, but probably you will think that it sounded better before. And for that, I have another EQ, surgical way this time, boosting the low mid for mid, cutting a bit the boominess, boosting a bit the gnarliness, if I can say here, and cutting a bit those super high frequencies. Let's listen to it now. So that make it sound a bit more gnarly. So let's listen, compare before and after. So it brings back a bit the intelligibility of the guitar, and notice that it sounded a bit louder. But it's not louder, look at the VU meter. So it's not louder, but it sounds louder because the sound is a bit more focused. So for the end, I will show you how the saturation of this TuCo works. It's something really interesting. It had some harmonics. It's working also a bit as an exciter, and to make the sound a bit more mid-frequency focused. So I will use it on this bad recording voice again, and just listen to the mid-frequencies of the voice. I will push the drive to 70% and listen to the mid-frequencies of the voice, just to hear what it does. It's really subtle, so...
Je parle avec un accent français. 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 Je parle avec un accent français.
So notice how it makes it sound a bit more focused, a bit more mid-rangey, and so a bit more precise in the end. So it's something nice to use on vocal. It works a bit like a preamp mainly, but it's not a preamp, but it works a bit like a preamp, giving a bit of color and a bit more focus to the sound. And so lastly, I will show you how it works on a mixbus configuration. It's probably not something I will use on a mixbus, but let's try to see how it works. So I will start with the EQ I made here, basically bit of boost here, bit of cut here, and bit of boost also here. And after I will tweak the EQ to show you how it sounds. Okay, so that's it for the review of the StonEQ by Sonimus. Hope you liked it. Don't hesitate to check their website, and happy mixing to all, and see you soon.